Hey everybody, Vince with V is for Vino here. Welcome to another session of Vino Blind. And I would love to get 3 out of 4. These are the videos where we blind taste some wines together so that I can practice my blind tasting and you can practice yours. As always, the goal is not to get it right. I mean, obviously the goal is to get it right, but the goal is to learn. So if we make mistakes at the end and we get it wrong, why do we do that? So that the next time that happens, we get it right. If you want to play along at home, we are going off the wine selections that could be from the Court of Masters Advanced. Let's get into it without any further ado. Starting with our sights. This is a dark wine. This is an extracted wine. I mean, you can look, it's hard to see much through it. So this is a pretty intensely colored wine. I mean, I guess I'd say this is a purple wine. Definitely not red. So, I mean, I'm expecting this to have pretty rich fruit character, pretty dark fruit character, maybe extracted, maybe some tannin. That color, a lot of it comes, oftentimes that means a warmer climate. That means more extraction from the skins, or it means both. So that's where we're at with sight. As always, the first sniff to me is the most important. That's your gut reaction, your gut call, first impressions. So let's do it. That's a lot of oak. First impression says oak, oak, oak. Lots of baking spice. I think some vanilla. Buttery oak, man. Butter. It almost smells like butter, in my opinion. That to me usually says lots of time in new oak. Whew, I'm having trouble finding much past it. All right, fruit character. It's tough. I mean, I'm getting just trouble getting past the oak. I'm expecting it to be dark, but I'm gonna have to go to the palate for that because I'm just not getting a ton of it right now. But I'm not even getting a ton of like earth character either. I'm sorry I'm not helping you much at home, but that's what it is for me. So let's get it on the palate and maybe I'll have more to talk about. All right, now I can get some things. It is dark fruit and it's rich, man. It's like blackberries, really ripe, like when they start to get mushy and you waited too long to eat them. Now on the palate, lots of like that rich black extracted fruit, black currant. I get some tobacco, some spice. So let's go down the list. So that's from a flavor perspective, right? That's black fruit land, for sure. Plummy, plush fruit character. That's kind of what I mentioned in extracted. Like it's really soft fruit. Tannin, I'm gonna say medium for now. It's there. It's not kicking me in the face, but it's there. Acid. Medium. Definitely not any more than that. I would almost go medium minus, but medium for sure. Body. Medium plus to full body. This is rich. And one of the things that's contributing to that richness is some residual sugar. Not sweet, like I would not like Riesling has residual sugar, but definitely some residual sugar in there. And that is a hallmark oftentimes of New World winemaking. Old World winemakers won't do that, but the New World winemakers definitely will. Alcohol. Pretty balanced within the wine. It's pretty high. I mean, it's probably like a medium plus. Like I'm guessing this is a 14.5 to 15% alcohol, but it's balanced within the wine. I don't taste it. It doesn't taste hot. Finish and complexity. Well, the finish is long, but I think it's a bit artificial because of the sugar. I don't think if you took away the sugar that the finish would be that long. So I would probably say medium minus. And complexity, I would say medium minus. I'm not getting a ton out of this wine. I don't think this is a super expensive wine by any means, but I could be wrong. Let's talk about initial conclusions. What do we think this is? Do we think it's Old World or New World? Well, I already said, I'm pretty sure it's New World. In fact, I'm positive it's New World. This is way too fruity to be an Old World wine. There is residual sugar that almost never happens in Old World wines of this style. You know, you'll see residual sugar in wines that are intentionally made that way, but like putting a little bit of sugar in it to round it out is pretty much like a thing they do for, honestly, a lot for American palates. So that leads me to believe this might be an American wine. I mean, it could be like somewhere else, South America or something, but so my gut says. Warm climate, I think so. Possible grapes. Now this is where it's gonna get tough. This could be a lot of things. This could be a lot of different wines. Cabernet Sauvignon, it absolutely could be, so we can't eliminate it. We'll come back to it. Cabernet Franc, no way. Way too big, way too much body, way too dark fruit. Carmenere, I don't get any greenness, which is pretty much a hallmark of that. So I don't think so. Amarone, no, the fruit character isn't dried. It's overripe. It's ripe and overripe, but it's not dried. And you would also expect higher alcohol. Is it Gamay? No way. Way too big, way too extracted. Is it GSM? You know, I don't get any of the pepper from the Syrah. I don't get the red fruit from the Grenache. So I don't think it's GSM. Is it Malbec? Maybe. If it's outside of the States, that is my cat snoring, ladies and gentlemen. Babe, I have to wake her up. Here, I'll give her a little poke. Babe, you gotta wake up. You can't snore. You can't snore in the video unless you want to participate and guess the wine. Okay, where were we? Malbec, might be Malbec. So far on, might be Cab, might be Malbec, and we'll go back to those. Merlot, definitely might be New World Merlot. Rich style Merlot. Nebbiolo, no. Too dark fruit, no tannin. Pinot Noir, no. Too dark fruit, too much tannin, too extracted. Sangiovese, no, he always says New World, and they pretty much make Sangiovese only in the Old World. Is it Syrah? I mean, it could be a really big style of Syrah, like Shiraz from Australia, right? Californian Syrah. It could be that, but I don't get any of the hallmark Syrah characters. I don't get any gaminess. I don't get any pepperiness. So I'm gonna say no. Is it Tempranillo? No, it's not from the Old World, and they make Tempranillo pretty much only in Rioja, right? Is it Zinfandel? Could be Zinfandel. I don't get the bramble fruits from Zinfandel, though. I don't think it's Zinfandel. I also don't get the hallmark spice box character that you get from a lot of Zinfandel. I did say I get a lot of oak, but it's not spiced. You know, it's more that sweet oak. I'm gonna say no, Zinfandel. All right, I'm down to Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec, or Merlot. And this is where life gets tough, ladies and gentlemen. This is where life gets tough. I don't think it's Cabernet Sauvignon. I would expect higher tannins. The sugar's throwing me off, because like some, I think, maybe cheaper Cabernet Sauvignons, or even some expensive ones, honestly, will put some of that sugar in there. So it could be Cabernet Sauvignon. And I maybe get some tobacco. I think I mentioned that. I don't get any greenness. Now, you don't always get greenness with Cabernet Sauvignon, the menthol character, but sometimes you do. It's really plush. That's the only reason why I'm leaning towards Merlot. It's just so plush. But again, that might just be fooling me with the sugar that's in there. And is it Malbec? It could be Malbec. I'm not talking so much about blue fruit. The spice character tracks, but man, I don't think it's Malbec. When I think of Malbecs, they tend to be a little fresher, a little higher in elevation. This is not very fresh, and this has a lot of sugar. So I don't think it's Malbec. So now we're down to, is it Merlot or is it Cabernet Sauvignon? So that's always a tricky one, man. The main difference is that Cabernet Sauvignon has more tannin, and Cabernet Sauvignon might get some of those green character notes. I don't get either of those, right? The tannin isn't super high. Now that just might be because it's a not expensive wine. Tannin is more developed the more expensive wines you get. The only reason I would shy away from Merlot is because Merlot tends to have a little bit more red fruit. The fruit is plummy, which is a hallmark for Merlot. But Merlot tends to have a little more red fruit character. So it really comes down to the tannin structure, which is just very tough. And the acid structure. Cabernet Sauvignon has a bit more acid, and I don't think it's as much acid. I'm going Merlot. Yay! I'm going Merlot. So last question is where? Is it California or is it Washington? I think it's California. I think a Washington Merlot, you know, you're going more north, I think it would have a bit more freshness. I think this is Napa or Sonoma. I think this is Sonoma. There's Napa wines that are like this, for sure, but I think this is a Sonoma wine. All right, I'm not super confident in this answer. I'm calling Merlot. I call Merlot? The body is so dark though. That tobacco component is really hallmark of some Cabernet. I wish the tannin was higher, because then I'd be like, this is Cabernet. Because the red fruit isn't there. And I don't get the menthol character, but again, you wouldn't get those green characters if it's super ripe, which this is. I'm gonna go Cabernet. I'm gonna be so mad if it's Merlot, but that tobacco spice is really coming through. I'm gonna say it's Cabernet Sauvignon.
Plot twist.
Plot twist. I'm still gonna say Sonoma. I'm gonna say it's a $23 bottle of wine. And I'm gonna say this is a nice, young, fresh, fruity wine. Let's give this a 20, it's 2023 right now. I think this is a 2021 vintage. All right, that's the call. Cabernet Sauvignon from Sonoma, $23, 2021. Again, not super confident, but I am excited to see what it is. Let's do it. I close my eyes, I pray. I hate this part. Barossa. Cabernet Sauvignon.
Wow.
That makes sense because of the richness. I'm shocked on the sugar. So I got the grape right. Okay, I mean, I wasn't so far off. 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon from Australia. Wow. I never even would have crossed my mind to think Australia Cabernet Sauvignon too. Otherwise, I probably would have considered it. So let's assess. The grape I got right. It's ripe, really ripe Cabernet Sauvignon. It says it's 14% alcohol, but feels bigger. I think it feels bigger because, like I said, there's some residual sugar there. I don't know how I would have determined this is Australian versus Northern California, if I'm being honest. I'm gonna Google it, of course, but maybe in the comments tell me how I would have figured that out. The quality, how much money was this?
15 bucks.
15 bucks. 23 is being generous. This felt like cheapish wine, for sure. The sugar, you know, just the lack of complexity, lack of finish. I mean, I'll give myself a lot of points. Like, a lot of what I said leading up to the conclusion was right. It was just cheap wines too are very ubiquitous, right? Like, the cheaper the wine, the less distinct it is from the place, and it starts to get really, really hard. So I'm okay with missing this because like I said, I got the grape right. I called that it was kind of a cheaper wine. So I'm not totally mad, but I'm curious if any of you got it based on what I was saying. I didn't mention Australia, so you know, you would have had to come up with that on your own. But at least I got the grape. Not disappointed. That was a lot of fun anyway. As always, a learning experience. So thank you guys for watching another session of Vino Blind, and we will see you again soon.